Welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. I'll take you around to check on all the critters as the seasons are about to change. I've got 17 little quail chicks hanging out in here that are just 3 weeks old, and you can see them in that little hut there. I happen to have 17 adult quail in here too, so they're all interested in getting their feed refilled. And they are currently on a 22% turkey starter feed. It's non-GMO and milled here in North Carolina. Hey boys. So if you missed an earlier video, I have 2 videos on how I set up the pigs' paddocks and how we set up the mobile solar charger unit. Hi guys, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning. I don't have any snacks for you. I'm here to get your feed bins because we feed them in the evenings and I rinse them in the morning so that way they're up by their feed container by the time evening rolls around, right? I'm just gonna take this with me. Okay, sir? Thank you so much. Thank you, girl. What's going on? What you got? Anything? Nope, I just interrupted you. Apologies. Well, hello. You just jump right up here. Yeah, Miss Duchess. Okay, girls. Here, I got the girls some tomato scraps from some bruised aging spots of some of the late tomatoes. And just made sure their waters are good. Gave them some Grubblies mealworms, and since it's about to rain a little bit, they're just gonna hang out in here. They were out all day yesterday, all day, so I don't feel so bad. Right, girl? Right. Good girl. Before I head out to the garden to put the fall seedlings, or majority of the fall seedlings in, because I had done some fall, I had seeded a tray of fall, actually 2 trays I think, back in early August, late July, and I pretty much, they were cursed. I dropped them 3 times. It was 1 tray actually, because I remember now. I dropped it 3 times on different occasions and forgot it out while I was hardening it off. And only like 3 seedlings survived, and I don't even know if when I transplanted those, if anything happened with them. So over Labor Day weekend, I started 2 trays of fall seedlings. They're all looking fantastic. So they're only 2 weeks old at this point, but they are hardened off and doing really well. So I'm going to transplant them today since it's very overcast and about to rain. Oh, good boy. And I just wanted to, before I head out to the garden, since we just checked on all of the critters, just share a little bit about what happens at the end of the summer right now and how we're preparing for the next season with them. So with the quail, they will stop laying next weekend on the equinox. Pretty much they're like clockwork. I don't do any supplemental lighting, so they're not going to lay beyond that. So I generally would be done with doing hatches at this point. However, I have acquired, or will be acquiring next week, some hatching eggs from Sadie Girl Farm, which is in western North Carolina. And she breeds some of the Celadon quail. So I had originally started my covey of quail with Kurturnix and with Celadon from both hatching eggs from a farm in California, Alchemist Farm. I'll link to both of them in the description. And sorry, puppy was requesting some attention and I was trying to balance the phone at the same time, but he has just found himself preoccupied again. So yeah, I'll link to those. And so what happened last summer, which I have a separate, fairly popular video on, is we had some unfortunate circumstances with someone filling in for our pet sitter with the baby quail chicks last summer. So I don't really have the Celadon pure genetics anymore. There's a recessive trait, so like the inside of the egg, some of the eggs is blue, and sometimes on the outside of the eggs they're blue and speckled, but I don't have any solid blue egg layers anymore. So I am going to reintroduce that to the covey, so I'll have 1 more hatch of the year. So I'll be grabbing those eggs next week, setting up the incubator, and then 2 weeks later we'll have some little baby chicks hanging out again, and that will be the last hatch of the year. So the quail are pretty much, we've got all of those little ones out there that are just 3 weeks old today. So in about another month, I'll start to process those. Those are, I didn't do any specific breeding pairs for the hatch that's out there right now, so I don't really intend to continue those genes. So all of the younger ones will be processed before they kind of hang out for the winter. So those will help reduce the population and make some room for those celadon chicks that will hopefully have a good hatch and put them out there. And so those will definitely be overwintering with kind of like my top birds from the year. And then next spring I'll start some selective breeding to get some of the best birds again. So as far as the quail, that's about it for them. For the pigs, this is our first fall with pigs. So their little A-frame shelter that they have is a fairly good size for them right now, but they're going to be gaining a lot of weight and getting bigger over the next few months. So we're trying to figure out if we're going to do a separate shelter that's twice the size of that, so like just a double length A-frame shelter, or if we'll add on to this one and just use, since we already have it built. I'm just trying to think of like future uses of it. I'm thinking of potentially converting it into a mobile chicken coop, because I'd love to do some meat birds next year, but I don't know if that will happen. So otherwise though, the pigs won't really need anything maybe until late fall, and that'll be a bigger shelter because they'll be bigger, and they don't need any kind of enclosure for the winter. Just the A-frame and some straw will be enough for them to stay warm. So that's about it for them. And then the chickens, they've already started to slow down their laying. Some of them are already going through their fall molt. So that's when they are getting their new feathers in. So that puts a lot of stress on them, on their biology, and reducing the amount of protein they're going to put into eggs. They're putting that protein back into their feathers. So some of them are going through that. However, these chickens, we generally will add more chickens every 2 years so that we have good, consistent year-round laying. But we are now approaching, it'll be 2 years, it be later this winter that we will need to get some more chicks. So I've been researching different breeds. We generally will just get what's available at the feed store based on like our past experience. But I'm kind of considering potentially ordering some breeds that we really like and that have been hard to find locally. So thinking about those things too. I am kind of increasing the chickens protein intake, so giving them extra mealworms, any extra eggs that we're just not able to consume on our own, I will hard boil them or scramble them up and give them back to them, so that helps with their protein intake. And of course all the garden stuff that I'm pulling out right now, since it's the changing of the season, they're getting a lot of that too. So I'm seeing like some squash that have some bug damage and things, so like the pigs will get some of that, the chickens will get some of that too, and that's all for them. And I did not get in the hives today, but they're looking really great, and they're not looking like they need any fall supplemental feeding, so I'm not going to be doing that for them. Right now I'm just pretty much keeping an eye on their population size, making sure they have enough room, enough food, and kind of all that pest management as far as varroa is pretty much done for the season. I'm just keeping an eye on small hive beetles, which is a problem at my Western North Carolina apiary, but here I'm just noticing them in one hive, and it's been really manageable for me to control that. So overall, nothing really needed there. I have a separate video on fall beekeeping in North Carolina, and I will link to that below, and also hopefully a card around here too, and it has a little bit more detail about what you can kind of prepare for this time of the year in this region. If there is anything that you do specifically for your critters at this time of the year, please let me know, because I'm always looking to add some healthy routines in for all the animals. So glad to hear it.